you are good enough to be anything you wanna be.
Hi there, welcome to this video. Thank you so much for clicking on here. Thank you for coming here. I'm Laura, so delighted to be doing these videos for those of you who are looking to make a bold step in your life and study abroad and everything. And it's been an interesting journey coming this far with this series, just talking about a lot of very hard things, those nitty-gritty details that are so critical to this bold move you're trying to make. So I hope they have been helpful, just in case you're following sequentially about all those other things I've been talking about. But if you're just here randomly skedaddling around, today I'm talking about the whole experience of preparing for the move and eventually moving and things like that. And of course, this is going to be a lot from my personal experience, and I'm happy to share that with you. So thing is, I think when you're trying to make some very big decisions in life, sometimes you really want to sit with them and take as much time with them, just like really soak it all in. What is it I'm trying to do, and how is it going to reflect in my life and everything? So you may not always be in a position to, like, it's not the kind of thing you want to shout to the world immediately and just say, oh my god guys, I'm applying for this, I'm gonna, because you don't really know how it's gonna go. And of course you also have your personal anxieties around it. But by the time you're applying for a visa to go abroad, you've mentioned it to the close people in your life, your close family members, your close friends. They know what you're working towards, yeah? But by the time you have a visa and you're waiting for that like 3-week window or something, you are getting as close to this dream as it can be, as it can get. So things now need to start sort of moving in the direction like, I'm actually gonna leave. Especially if you got like as a student, if you got like the acceptance from the school, it is very rare that you get your visa rejected unless there's actually something fundamentally not okay about your documents or something, or you have, I mean, there's several reasons for visa rejections, yeah. Things like if you have had a visa rejected in the past for maybe criminal offenses, or what's the English for that? Not going by visa regulations in the past in another country or something, because they always have these records and whatever. So maybe if you had been to another country and you didn't follow your visa regulations or something like that, I mean, just anything that would make them feel like, does this person really deserve this visa? No. But if you're easy, you're clean, most of the times you can be at least more than 50% confident that you're gonna get your visa. So you need to start now setting your mind around the fact that this is actually happening, I'm gonna move and everything. And for me, that definitely was the sense, the place that I was by the time I'd applied for my visa. I had to start now thinking, okay, this is happening. So it was the wisest time to inform my employer at the time, because I had a job, I was employed. And prior to this, I had reread my contract. Of course, I knew what my contract is like, but you just go reread to make sure everything is okay, and to look at what is a resignation policy in that company or for your contract. And so for me, it was clear that I just need to give a 1-month notice and everything. And so by the time I've applied my visa, because for me, again, I may have mentioned in the previous videos, I was working with a very, very slim window. I was really taking the risk. Like, I started applying sort of like in May, June for September. So by the time I'm doing my visa application, it is July, end of July. So by the time I'm expecting to get my visa, it should be like end of August. And my studies were beginning mid-September, so I didn't have that much time to work with between getting my visa and coming to school and sorting all these things that I need to sort out. So I found it wise to at that point inform my employer. But I think it would just be noble, and especially if you're working with a noble employer, to be able to let them know that this is simply a visa application, because these are my intentions. But I'm hoping that this can serve as notice, but in case my visa doesn't go through, I don't necessarily want to lose a job. Yeah, so that's the kind of conversation I had with my employer, and it went really, really well, just to let them know these are the plans I'm making. And so I'm hoping that as I speak to you now and as I put it into writing, this can serve as my notice to leave. Potentially this should be my last day of work should everything go well, but just in case, I'm hoping that you can be able to just like revoke all these things we've just said, just in case things don't go through. But oftentimes, like I said, they do go through, so it's good to start thinking as though they are gonna go through. So this is a good time to start like doing things like that. If you have a job and you need to resign, that would be ideal. Like serve your notice. If you need to do a sort of a handover, you need to start sort of working around those things and everything. But for more of that, like the more fun part, is it fun? But yeah, fun is now dealing with family and friends. It's very fun, but it's also very, very emotional, because things start getting real. You start to see, wow, okay, I'm actually gonna go. I'm gonna be miles away from you. And I know this impacts people differently depending on what your relationships look like. And for me, I'm very, very close to my family, very, very close to my friends, so it was very emotional for me just to like get my mind into the whole thing of, wow, I'm actually gonna be away from these people for long. So speaking with them, and more importantly, spending time with them, that's something I did so intentionally. My friends did intentionally for me as well, and I appreciate. So spending time with your family is so essential to just making those last few days really comfortable. One thing for me that was making the move feel a bit heavy was because I knew that the circumstances under which I've come to the UK are not necessarily, I'm not necessarily in the kind of place where I'll be able to just come in and out of the UK as I would want to just yet, because I'm coming to the UK as a student to figure out everything on this end, to figure out work, to figure out everything. So as it pertains to finances, I only have what I have that I've saved to support my move, and I'll be talking about the budget a bit later. And I have the support that I've gotten from my parents to come here, because I came as a self-sponsored student. So that luxury of flights every few months to come to Kenya, I knew that that's not really where I'm at, and I'm very accepting of that. So I know it's gonna be a long time before I'm able to see you guys again, possibly a year, at the very minimum. So that was interesting. So spending time with friends, going out, having a good time, hanging out and everything, those are really solid things to do that I think you will certainly not regret. And so basically what I'm saying here is, don't get too stuck and too buried in the preparing, because I know that preparing is a lot, and forget to soak into the very, very important things in life. Essentially, a few things you have to think about is, number one, your flight. Once you get your visa acceptance, then soon as possible start looking for a flight. Please remember, as a pro tip, if you're looking for a flight on these flight websites, do not use the same device over and over again. The price will keep going higher. So you need to know what you're doing, where you're going. Maybe talk to people who've done this thing before, they can guide you. Go to that website, buy that ticket, and just be ready with your ticket. A ticket to the UK is expensive, so yeah, you don't want it to keep going up and up and up. If you need to use a travel agency, sure, why not? But if you're able to do it for yourself, again, do it. Yeah, keeping in mind how many suitcases you're gonna carry and things like that. But yeah, book your flight, keep your flight ready, which means you will at this point have set a date of when you're traveling. Of course, if you're coming to a place with a set agenda, like a job, or in this case school, you know when your semester starts. So you know you want to be in the country at the very least a week before your semester begins, yeah? So at that point you should be able to set a date, and that's actually the criteria I used to set the date for when I was gonna travel. So I traveled a week to the start of my semester. I know, that's wild. And yeah, so book your flight. And again, of course, that helps set things into perspective, that this is how long I have to get myself ready, and so yeah, book your flight. Number 2, think about where you're gonna stay. Of course, you're going to a new country. Now that is one of the most challenging things I actually did, because I now had to learn the housing websites in the UK, Zoopla, Spare Room, what was it, Right Move, all this. And I was looking for a place to stay. Thing is that I discovered in my experience is when you're not a UK citizen and you're trying to get a house from when you're not in the UK, it's gonna be very hard. You're gonna call these people and they're gonna tell you there's an online viewing, but they're not really gonna prioritize you because you're not in the country, because you're a student. When they learn you're a student, they also just get a bit jittery about that sometimes. And they do prefer physical viewings. And the thing about landlords here in the UK is they really, as much as possible, would love to actually see you face to face for you to physically view the house and everything. So it can be hard to get a house when you're that far away. But one of the more crucial things is a guarantor. When you're not a UK citizen, you need a UK citizen to be the guarantor for your lease or for your contract, because they work with contracts here for rent. Most of the places you can get a short-term stay, but most of the places, if you want a house, you need a long-term. So that was very, very difficult to figure out. Much as I had a friend or two here that someone I could talk to, someone who could help me, still someone can't view the house on my behalf. I as much as possible need to be there and to speak with the landlord, do my own negotiation and everything. So that proved very hard. But I got on Spare Room, which is a really good one for students. And there you create a profile and everything, and you're able to connect with other people who are looking for the same thing you're looking for, or connect with people who are providing what you're looking for. And that's how I actually met my really good flatmate called Dami. She's from Nigeria, because she reached out to me and she was like, I'm looking for the same thing. How about we pair up and look for a 2-bedroom house together? That's how we started our house hunting, which didn't really work. And so what we ended up doing is we both came to the UK. She has a sister who lives in another city in the UK, so she stayed with her sister, and then I came maybe a week later and I stayed in an Airbnb. I would recommend that. Like, you can book an Airbnb for about a week. Airbnbs are affordable. You can book for about a week, so that in that week, once you settle into the UK, you now start looking for a place to stay. You can actually get a place in a week if you have everything in order, like a guarantor and everything. Like I said, a guarantor is someone who either owns a house or has lived in the UK, someone who can like see mommy are you. And as a student, private accommodations are certainly cheaper, especially because, maybe not cheaper, but like easier, because they often have a bills inclusive package, so you're not paying your bills separately from your rent and everything. And coming into a new country where you don't know much and things like that, you don't want to stress yourself out with some of these things. So I found it easier to stay in a student accommodation. I stay in a private one. Or if you want to stay in the school accommodations, then you need to be able to organize that, and your school should support you to organize that. Yeah, so you need to think about where you want to live. So what do you need to pack? Now, this often sounds very complex, but I think it's actually very easy. And having done it, honestly, it's way easier than it feels at that moment. So I know how it feels, because for me, I actually was packing for about 2 weeks. Like, I was sorting out my stuff, and I think for me, I am such a preparer, so I'd rather just be sort of setting my mind around something for a while. So it can feel a lot like, oh my goodness. So of course you have all your favorite clothes, your favorite shoes, everything you want to carry and everything. Please just know you're gonna have to sacrifice a lot of things, because flights have limits to how much you can carry in a suitcase and whatever. If you carry too many suitcases, you're gonna have to pay for the extra ones and whatever. So you want to be reasonable with it. Also, if you're looking for a suitcase, just go to Eastleigh. You'll get really good ones at affordable prices. So I would say essentially what you need is just warm clothes. Those warm clothes in your closet, just those ones, because you're coming from Kenya to a place that is just predominantly cold. It is predominantly colder than your country. Even when it's warm, it's cold. So you're gonna wanna have warm clothes because your body is not accustomed to this weather. So warm clothes, especially if you're coming in September, that's autumn. The average temperatures in autumn are like 10 degrees, 12 degrees, thereabout. And then it keeps going downhill. If you're coming in January, you'll come smack in the middle of winter. So single digit numbers like 8 degrees if it's a hot day, or like could go as low as the negatives. So you're likely gonna come and find that it's cold here. So just pack your warm clothes, honestly. You don't need to stress about the others because those others you can buy here. So I would say just pack warm clothes, so long sleeved sweaters, socks, things like that. Again, not too many of the same things, because trust me, Primark is so affordable. You can buy whatever you need. You can set aside a small budget for just those other clothing essentials that you may need, but just other than your essentials, you don't have to pack a myriad of things. Yeah, I would advise not to pack too many jeans. Jeans are usually heavy, so they'll just eat into your weight for your bags. And then pack any other thing that you find very important to you. Now for me, I can say for sure, pack a few things that remind you of home. Like if you can see the Polaroids on my wall, I printed them out. I didn't know that I was gonna find this and end up having them on my wall, but I just printed out small things that will remind me of home, of my friends, of things like that. Carried just a few small things that I have around my house. I carried tea. Yeah, you're not gonna find like tea that's like Kenyan tea here. There's loads of tea. The Brits love tea, but if you really love your Kenyan tea, then carry your tea. So I carried my Kericho Gold. I carried a bit of coffee, though I don't take coffee. I don't know I carry coffee. Don't bother carrying hot chocolate. Their hot chocolate is better. So just carry those things that you feel, okay, I really need this. Like this is essential to my day-to-day life and to making me feel at home and everything. So yeah, do that for sure. Shoes, again, warm shoes. Of course, mix it up, yeah, your casual clothes and some clothes that you could go to work with, especially if you're looking to work, or even just of something official should you be making presentations in school or whatever. And maybe one or two fancy stuff if you want to go out sometime or whatever, fancy dress, fancy whatever, that would be nice. Of course, don't forget your important documents, that folder carried with you, with all the essential documents that you would ever need at any point. Keep them in your big suitcase. You shouldn't really need them as you're flying, but as you're flying, you're gonna need your carry-on bag. You can have just an extra light set of clothes, maybe an extra top or t-shirt or something, should you lose your luggage. I pray you don't lose your luggage, but just a few compact change of clothes in case anything happens, or in case you just need to change at any point, or if you're having a lot of layovers or whatever and you maybe want to freshen up things, just something to keep you feeling fresh and everything. And very, very close to you, maybe in a sling bag or something, you need to have your passport. You need to have, what else do you need to have? It's just your passport, yeah, your phone, some money, of course, change money. Remember to change money. You don't have to do too much cash, really. You don't have to do too much. You can do even an equivalent of like 20k. That's fair enough. And the rest you can just have on card. Now, another pro tip is I'd certainly advise getting a multi-currency card. That is one of the best things I did coming here. It has gone such a long way. It has helped me put things in order. Sometimes exchange rates are crazy. Like trying to buy pounds can be really heartbreaking. But get a multi-currency card with your bank. That would be really nice if your bank has. If it doesn't, you can get a bag that has. I personally I have an INM one, and I really love the experience. Just some bonus travel tips. Number 1, dress light. Avoid clothes with a lot of metallic stuff. You're gonna keep passing. Oh, airports are tiring. Airports are really, really tiring. Like, you're just gonna keep passing through those things, those scanners and whatever. So you just want to avoid as much buckles, belts, whatever as possible, jewelry and all that. Be as light as possible with your carry-on bag and everything. Download, if it's music, a podcast, whatever. Yes, they have movies and whatever in flight, but should you be particular about what you want, make sure you're ready with that. To have a cozier flight, if you need a neck pillow, you can carry that with you. When you're booking your flight and you have to have a layover, like I had a layover in Germany, as much as possible, don't risk it with a very, very short layover. I'd say a minimum of 1 hour, and still 1 hour is like playing with it. Because layovers, again, you're passing through another airport and it can take some time. You never know what terminal you're in and how long it'll take it to get there. But yeah, of course, a long layover is gonna be hectic and tedious, but not awfully short, because now you're likely to miss your second flight or something like that. Don't risk that. Also, if you need just a few nibbles and snacks, you can always buy them at the airport. Things at the airport are expensive, but you know, you can always buy something to nibble on. That would be good. Dress for where you're going. Like I said, it's likely gonna be colder here, so maybe you can have something that you're going to put over when you get here, because you're likely to find it a bit colder when you get here. And as much as possible, if you can have someone waiting for you on the other side, that would be lovely, just to make your transition easier. So I'm really blessed to have had a really, really good friend of mine come to pick me at Heathrow and literally bring me all the way to Oxford and things like that. So if you can have someone on the other side who's just gonna support you to get to where you need to go, because when you get here, there's so many things you really just don't know. You don't know how to use the the trains. You don't know how to, a lot of things. So if you can have a friend, just anybody to, this is one of the reasons why people use agencies. In case you don't know anybody at all, then maybe you'd be able to get a travel agency and they could support your transition. But if you know someone, then it would be really great if they can help you, pick you up at the airport and help you transition into everything. So yeah, this has been exciting to record, and I hope it's been exciting for you to watch as well and just hear about the whole transition and everything. But should you have a particular question about what that's like, because I know that's a very interesting phase to be in. I remember being so I was really at some point really anxious, like to a point I got ill, and I thought that it was because of I got the booster shot, and it could be because of the booster shot, but also I don't understand how the booster shot can give you like gastritis. So maybe I was just stressed. So when I got here and I settled, I was looking back and thinking, by the way, why was I sick? I think so it can be stressful, so try as much as possible to take care of your mental health and your well-being in general. Keep positive energy around you in that season. It's normal to feel anxious, it's normal to feel lost, it's normal to feel really scared because you don't know what you'll find on the other side and what the experience is gonna be like, but you will be fine. Just take care of yourself as much as possible and keep the right beautiful positive energy around you, and you will be okay. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you for watching this video. Time for me to go to work. Bye bye.